In this tutorial, you'll learn time-saving shortcuts for working with game objects in Unity. When any objects are selected, additional shortcuts are listed in the main menu under Game Object Timeflow. These menu commands are also listed in the context menu when right-clicking on objects in the hierarchy view. The first set of commands are used to activate and deactivate objects. These commands simply toggle the active state for the objects, same as clicking the checkbox in the inspector. With the object selected, we can use the keyboard shortcut Shift-2 to deactivate them, essentially turning them off. And if we press Shift-1, the objects are reactivated. You may also use the built-in key command Shift-Alt-A to toggle active states. If you wish to toggle object visibility, but still keep the objects active otherwise, use the menu commands to enable or disable renderers. Use the keyboard shortcut Shift-Alt-2 to disable renderers, and Shift-Alt-1 to show them again. This toggles the enabled state for all renderer and collider components on the selected objects, making the object invisible on screen and to physics and raycasts. This also applies to all child objects and descendants recursively within the selected hierarchy. Also note that if any of the selected objects have animation tracks in Timeflow that control the active state or renderers, these key commands may not take effect since the Timeflow tracks override it. The next command is Reset Transform, which sets the position and rotation to 0, and the local scale to 1 on all selected objects. This is useful anytime you wish to reset an object's transform coordinates back to 0. We can also use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-Shift-T to reset the transforms on the selected objects. This works either in local space or global space, depending on the tool mode selected in Unity's toolbar. This option may appear differently than shown here, depending on which version of Unity you are using. This is often useful when reparenting objects or adding new objects to the scene. The next set of commands are used to copy transform coordinates from one object to another, or from one group of objects to another. We can use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-Shift-I to copy the transforms of the selected objects. We can then select the objects we want to paste to, and use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-Shift-O. If only a single transform was copied, then all selected objects are assigned the same coordinates. Or, if multiple transforms were copied, then the selected objects are assigned each set of coordinates in order, repeating the list if necessary. You can also use the option to paste the copied position and rotation while resetting the scale values to 1. Or you can paste only position coordinates using the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-Alt-Shift-O, which leaves the current rotation and scale values untouched. The next set of commands in the menu are for sorting objects in the view. This is used to sort the children of the selected objects in alphabetical or optionally reverse order, affecting the order in which the objects are listed in both the hierarchy and Timeflow views. Children can also be shown or hidden from the hierarchy, which may be helpful in special circumstances to reduce scene clutter. When children are hidden, they are no longer listed in the hierarchy view, however, they still operate as normal otherwise and may still appear in the Timeflow view. You may want to use this to hide the children of prefabs or models which don't need to be worked on directly. However, one should use caution in hiding objects since it may not be obvious to others and could cause confusion. Anytime you wish to check for and reveal any hidden objects, you can select Show Children in Hierarchy. The next set of commands are for grouping and ungrouping objects. To group one or more selected objects, use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-Alt-G. This inserts a new empty game object as the parent. It automatically takes the position and rotation of the first selected object, but retains a scale of 1, effectively placing the new parent at the anchor of the selection. This has the effect of making the child's local position and rotation 0 while keeping its local scale unchanged. To ungroup objects, use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-Alt-Shift-G. Note that this operation always assumes you have the parent object selected. This operation deparents the child objects, but otherwise does not make any modifications. After ungrouping, you may delete the parent object if it is no longer needed. The next command, Destroy All Timeflow Behaviors, can be used to remove all Timeflow related components from an object while otherwise leaving the object intact. This is helpful to strip away unneeded components when an object has been removed from Timeflow. This can occur when you've added animation to an object, but then decide later to remove it. And as a matter of general housekeeping to maintain an optimized scene, it is recommended to remove any components that aren't in use. Next, we have the command to reset all tracks. This affects all Timeflow objects in the scene, resetting their tracks to the full duration. This can be helpful when you've made changes to the Timeflow duration and not all tracks have updated, or to simply reset all the tracks back to default. If you don't want to apply this to everything in the scene, you can instead use the context menu in Timeflow to reset specifically selected tracks. Another useful command in the menu is to save selected prefabs, or we can use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-Alt-Shift-S. This saves the currently selected game objects, each as a prefab asset in the project. If the selected object is not already a prefab, it is created in the Prefabs folder. Once created, prefabs can be renamed and moved to any location in the project to organize as you wish. And if the object is already a prefab, then this operation simply saves and updates any changes made to it. As a side note, when working with Timeflow, you may save behaviors and animation into prefabs as you normally would with any other component type. When opening a prefab to view or edit it, it does require that a Timeflow view is already active, otherwise nothing will be displayed in the view. Once a prefab is opened, it may be added to the Timeflow view by clicking Show Selected Only or using the keyboard shortcut Alt-tilde. Any changes made to behaviors and animations on the prefab also affect all references used in scenes that don't otherwise override it. In the next video, we'll discuss saving incremental scene backups.